The View is trying to keep up with the changes, but it can't figure it out. They just came out with their streaming show on the weekend, and they just recently added Whoopi to that. They're just talking about like fun stuff, like entertainment and this kind of thing, because, well, the head boss, the guy who runs Disney, Bob Iger, has instructed them to try and get away from politics, but none of them want to do it. They're like, this is our sweet spot. Your sweet spot, right? It's like the sweet spot that may get you kicked off the air, for goodness sakes. That may actually cause ABC to lose its FCC airwaves permissions. That's some sweet spot. Anyway, they came back on TV today, back with a bang. And even the person that's supposed to be like the neutral character there, she's trying to go on and on about why Trump can't actually use the National Guard and why he shouldn't use the National Guard because it doesn't do any good. It's like, hello, lady, did you see the crime numbers? Did you? I mean, did you notice the 87% drop in carjackings that, by the way, the mayor of DC is actually thanking Trump for? Apparently she didn't. She was on vacation. What can you say? They live a nice life getting to take their summers off on The View. Watch. Her name is, I always forget this, but I wrote it in the rundown so I wouldn't, Sarah Haynes.
Here. Yeah. But the bigger part with him constantly sending in the National Guard is it's not effective. So you can concede, Alyssa, as you're pointing out, there are crime problems in our cities. There absolutely are. But what would be more effective is not treating the symptom, but the root causes. Yes. They could take the equal amount of money that they dispensed into D.C. and house every homeless person for a night.
But then they wouldn't have an issue.
Keep them there for, but that's my point. Politics is less about solutions and more about politicking.
And being
if they wanted
again.
to solve the problem, they could infuse money into these communities.
Our thanks to our friends over at Media Research Center, aka Newsbusters, for collecting that for us. Look, I beg to differ. I beg to differ with Ms. Haynes because you know what? It's not all about throwing money at the problem. We figured that out with the school systems now, didn't we? It's not about money. Sometimes it actually is about police presence. It actually is totally about police presence. I mean, there's been a zillion studies on this, and I have only to look at the last couple of weeks in none other than Washington, D.C. to see the improvement. Again, carjackings down. I put these stats up the other day for you guys. I don't have them handy, I don't think right now, but it was pretty remarkable because it was like, wow, the murder rate was down. They went 12 days. I mean, they broke their 12-day streak, but that was like a record, right? 12 days with... Sadly, it's just amazing we have to say this, no murders in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has a murder rate of 44 per 100,000, which is insane, like absolutely crazy insane. And just, it actually is so much worse than some of the worst places in the world that you can't believe that this is our nation's capital. And so, putting the National Guard out there, it does a lot. I mean, visually, you want to talk about a deterrent? This stuff works, but you know what? This show is so freaking biased. We know this. They're so painful. These ladies, our friends at Media Research Center, did a study, and these ladies are so left-leaning and so liberal-leaning that it turns out that they didn't have a single conservative on their show in 2025. I mean, like not one. I mean, did they count Alyssa? I mean, did they even have like Chris Christie? Because he doesn't really count. I mean, they did have Schwarzenegger. I showed you that one, right? Joy Behar's jaw was on the floor because Schwarzenegger was like, listen, if you come to this country as an immigrant, remember, you're a guest in this country. It's like being at someone's house for dinner. If I go to stay at somebody's house for the night, believe me, I make my bed in the morning, right? Like, you need to respect that you are in someone else's country. And as an immigrant himself, he said, look, I've done everything I can to give back. I'm a big believer in giving back because I've been afforded these enormous opportunities. And Joy was like, so that's the closest they've come. He's not really a conservative. I guess these never Trumpers aren't really conservative, shall we say. They would probably beg to differ. They'd probably say they are the authentic conservatives. And, to a certain extent, I'm not going to totally disagree with that because they keep saying that Donald Trump was so smart. He took over the Democrat base right from under them. I mean, to think that, you had the union guy out there at the Republican National Convention I mean, he was talking away, and Donald Trump stood there and allowed him to speak. And I know we don't necessarily love those guys, and they're not always pretty, but the point is they were given a platform and they took it, and slowly but surely he's chipping away, right? Chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And what did you see with the union vote? Nobody in the union was actually voting for Kamala Harris. They were all voting for Donald Trump because he's representing working men and women in America. And so, you got the elites out there on ABC with the $1 million paychecks representing something totally different. They don't think the National Guard matters in Washington, D.C. They get their own personal bodyguards escorting them in and out of the studio. Listen, they do. They have a driver that picks them up. I mean, I've been there, done that. You have a driver that picks you up, and you have somebody in security that meets you at the stage entrance, that escorts you into the building and then back out. And then you go home and, you get your doorman building and all's fine, right? They don't live the same life. Donald Trump doesn't either. But for whatever reason, he seems to have more empathy for people that do. And that comes across in spades. And so he has taken the Democrats' platform right out from under. I mean, just another thing on The View. The study came out last week. It's pretty funny because these women are like the most unliked in all of daytime television. Surprise, surprise, surprise. AJ saying that The View pushes the people that lean left straight into Trump country. And I think you're right. Like, I actually think like at some point, you're just like, enough already. Like maybe I was in the middle, but now I'm full on MAGA. Okay, I'm full on MAGA because I can't take it anymore from these people that tell me somehow it's my fault. We talked the other day about microaggressions. I had never heard that expression until I was at some book club gathering, and somebody said, well, I didn't want to go to this school because I felt like there were so many she was talking about where she was going to send her kids, microaggressions. And microaggressions, like what the heck? So I go home and I look it up, a microaggression. Oh my gosh, like if I just look at somebody the wrong way, if I wear the wrong color, if I'm slouching, like it could be a microaggression. No joke. I mean, this is crazy talk, people. Crazy, stupid talk. This show was not supposed to be this way. Barbara Walters never wanted it to be this way. They have polluted it with the likes of Joy and Whoopi and a few others on there. And now it has just turned into a train wreck that actually could cost the entire network. Because as we've been through, Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, he has made it very clear to Disney's Bob Iger that you can't just abuse the public this way. The majority of Americans do not actually trust that show or your entire news network. So if they don't trust the airwaves and you're feeding them 92% of the time garbage about Donald Trump that's not true, well, at some point, don't you have to pay a penalty for that? Donald Trump tweeting out 2 weekends ago, hey, you know what? We want you guys to have to pay up for those FCC airwaves. The other suggestion he had was to just take away their licenses altogether and get them off the public airwaves. Now, isn't that interesting? Maybe that would force them to actually be in the streaming business, which they're trying to do. They're inching into it. They've got their little weekend show that they're doing, taping on Fridays, talking entertainment news. But, their heart's not in it because as they told us, they don't want to talk entertainment news. No, Sunny Houston is very explicit on that. Ana Navarro as well. Oh, we just want to talk politics. Problem is, nobody wants to hear you talk politics. Hence ratings that are not doing well. Hence advertisers pulling out. Hence Brendan Carr looking at possibly taking away your FCC license. Dun-dun-dun.